Hello and welcome to Chapter 6, Enumeration. So again, let me remind you, I'm going to ask you to take a couple of notes and you upload those to prove as a proof that you have completed the watching the video. All right, so you do that and you upload that as evidence for homework. Okay, so what is enumeration? Enumeration is a phase when you extract information such as how devices are configured and protected. As in the scanning phase, it's actively engagement, but a little bit more in depth. So please write that down. So this is the third phase of what a hacker does before it does the attack. Remember, they do footprinting first, scanning, then enumeration. So write down the sentence right here for enumeration. All right, information gathered in this phase can include, as you can see, network resources, shares, network resources and shares. I said that already. Users and groups, routing tables, auditing, servicing settings, machine names, applications, banners, and SNMP and DNS details. So all of that can be obtained or should be obtained within this phase. All right. To obtain usernames from email IDs, you can use brute force to extract passwords. Exploit SNMP to get usernames, use SMTP to get usernames as well. So that is why you have to be extremely careful. Where do you give out your emails? Or who knows what your emails are? Because from your email, they can actually figure out what your usernames are. And a lot of websites use emails as a username. So all I have to do is worry about your password. So make sure that you never ever use the same password for everything. So everything you should have different passwords for different accounts, I should say. All right. So Windows enumerations include you can get processes, local services, network services, current user logged in, anonymous logins, which means you have really an open system, which is probably not a good idea when you're doing that for Windows. That's the Windows enumerations. Any access to server Windows 2000 or 2003 is not recommended. So don't try, if you have an old 2000 servers or 2003 or even Windows 2000 and below, like Windows 98 and 95, that's highly not recommended. Even Windows 7, it's really, it has a lot of vulnerabilities as well. And we will use Windows 7 as a vulnerable device to attack it down the road when we are doing this in the lab. So try to avoid old Microsoft operating system on the server side and also on the local side as well. All right, here's something I want you to write down and we should be familiar with is the SAM. SAM down here. All right, now here's the security account manager. Please write this down because this is important because this is where the hash passwords are saved, and we're going to be able to retrieve that, and we can take those hash passwords offline, and we'll be able to using brute force we'll be able to guess what the password is. Not necessarily guess, but if they are weak password, we'll be able to get them anyway. So the SAM, which stands for Security Account Management, write this down, it's a database that holds the usernames and passwords of those who have accounts on the system. Of course, the passwords are hashed. In part of the registry, this is part of the registry. Since Windows saves your usernames and hashed passwords in the SAM, anyone with administrative privileges can access the SAM. By the way, again, we will do that later on in the semester when we are attacking either Windows 7 or even Windows 8. We'll be able to do that. If you have administrative access to a machine for maybe several minutes, You could do a lot of harm. So if somebody gives you their PC with administrative access and they walk away, you could do set up backdoors and so many things that you'll have access to everything that you need on the system. So never ever give your system out. Always don't ever use the administrative account. Always have logged that. When you log in, use a different login, use a username, and give yourself some rights. So in case anybody has access to your system, you can always use the administrator to knock them out. Never use the administrator, even for yourself. All right, we'll discuss more about that in class. The SAM is located in the Windows System 2 config folder. All right, you don't have directly access to it unless, again, like I said, unless you are an administrator. All right, let's talk a little bit about the Linux enumeration. This includes usernames and IDs and passwords, location of the home directory. MBStat utility gives you the name table of the remote system. What else do you need to know? You can use SuperScan to gather information such as NetBIOS, name tables, and null sessions as well. Here's a whole bunch of different port numbers that are typically used when you're scanning for ports to see if there's any vulnerable ports. When we run the vulnerability assessments on one of our labs down the road, we're going to be looking to see which ports are open that we can use to either launch an attack. So that is something that you are going to be looking for. It's a good idea to get familiar with this. We've used the SNMP. This is where the database is located to gather. That's where the SAM, the database where the username and passwords are located. So that's something you're going to be looking for. So it's a good idea to get familiar with these port numbers. So write these port numbers down. The more the better, because a lot of times they don't have the keywords like SMTP. They only list they'll list the port numbers only. All right. What else do you need to know? So we can run STP-stat, the SuperScan. We set that. All right. DNS. DNS consists of a domain naming services server. What it does, it is used to supply us with the destination IP address. So all we have to do is write a name, and then the DNS server will look up the name and give us an IP address, right? Now, in the DNS server, when you have a name associated with an IP address, that's called a record. You got to have a lot of records in the DNS server. All of these records is called a zone. And typically DNS servers, when they are interconnected with each other, they transfer zones to each other. That's called zone transfer. So you want to make sure you can limit that. So please write this down. DNS zone contains all the records, and zone transfers will transfer all the records from one DNS server to another. Again, this might be a security loophole. So we can use the Linux command finger with /s to display all the users on the system. You could do that using the finger command. When it comes to SNMP, the Simple Network Management Protocol, this is a very powerful protocol for network administrator to gather information about the network itself, whereas everybody's located in terms of traffic and so on. But of course, those data that's being transferred, called traps between the server and those clients, sometimes are in clean text. If you are using simple SNMP version 2 or version 1, you have a lot of weakness. There's a lot of vulnerability. So make sure that when you enable SNMP and you want to use it to gather information about your network, you want to use SNMP version 3. Okay? So that's something that is very important to know. Use SNS Scan is a utility that is designed to detect devices on the network that has the SNMP enabled. So SNS Scan, write that down. That's probably something that you need to look at if you want, and if you are an expert in SNMP network, and you can decipher all the data from it, you can use this utility to see if a network is running SNMP, and if it's running version 1 or version 2, you probably can exploit those sessions and grab a lot of the data that's being traverses on the network. Other utilities that you can use to enumerate Linux machines include the finger command, like we said, RPC info, nmap, and showmount. All right. What else do you need to know? We just mentioned all of that. Okay, that's something you need to know. We'll discuss, by the way, we'll discuss when we're talking about the network administrative course. The Light Directory Access Protocol, LDAP. LDAP is used by Microsoft Active Directory as a database organized to organize all the users and resources on the network. So it keeps track of everything and how everything is connected. So you can use it to control all the users, resources, computers, printers, everything is logically connected. So when you log in with a username and a password, you are automatically going to go to the Active Directory of Microsoft, and that's where you are authenticated. And if you are authenticated, of course, then you are going to be authorized. So that's what the LDAP is. Now, LDAP running on the server, the Active Directory on Microsoft, which most companies have now, I would say over 90% of local area network administrator uses the Microsoft Active Directory to administer their network, because that's where everything is located. If you have access to the Active Directory, of course, you can gain a tremendous amount of information, not only username and password, but all the resources that are on the network. So it's extremely important that if you are the system administrator of a Windows server, that administrator password should be extremely secured. We'll discuss that also in class. All right, so JExplorer is a utility that can be used to search for LDAP. So you can use that protocol to see if somebody is running that or not. The Network Time Protocol, NTP, is used to synchronize clocks across the network. So you can, NTP, they want to make sure all the devices are synchronized in terms of time. And you can play around with that using, you can attack the NTP server using NPT update, NPT trace, NPT-DC, or NTP-Q. All right. So I think we covered everything that we need to cover in this chapter. All right. We're still under 15 minutes. Excellent. So please write down all the commands, all the notes that I asked you to write for this chapter. And on the next chapter, we are going to start talking about system hacking, because now we are done with the first three phases: footprinting, scanning, and enumeration. Now, all these three phases, of course, you could do them at once, but one way or another, it's probably a good idea to follow the three phases before you start hacking. The more information you have about a system or a network that you want to attack, the better. Take your time just getting all the information you want. And here's something I want you to remember. With all of these phases, you want to think about how can I prevent or set up a defense against footprinting, against scanning, and against enumeration. How do you minimize or mitigate, an attacker from getting a lot of information from your system? All right. So one of the first thing you want to do, you want to try some of these utilities. And if you can gather information, then you know that there is a lot of vulnerabilities and loopholes. So you'll set up a defense. That's the whole idea. All right. So after we're done with these three phases, next we are going to be doing system hacking. All right. So until the next semester, until the next chapter, please write the notes and upload them as homework. And I'll see you on the next chapter.